Well, welcome back to Scape News, everyone. Today we're going to take a different approach, talk about something different. With recent tragedies in Vancouver and a few other locations across the U.S., I wanted to do a little bit more of a deep dive. So today we're going to talk about the laws that were designed supposedly to be helpful, but oftentimes are more harmful. You saw the alerts, you watched the camera. Laws that were often written to protect these birds, but often result in us watching tragedy unfold in real time. A lot of us were watching the camera across the U.S., actually in other countries. We were all waiting for the moment someone, anyone would step in. But for the Vancouver eaglet, that moment felt like it came too late. The most comments I've been seeing are pretty much the same. I've gotten flooded with the one question: why? Why did they have to wait for the third fall? Why did they have to wait till the next day? Was it lack of caring? Lack of resources? Actually, the real answer is a lot more frustrating. It ties more into a legal invisible wall that ties the hands of the very people who want to help. So today we're going to go beyond the news. We're looking at the federal laws that govern the nest, not just the one in Vancouver, but all of them across the U.S. Today we're going to try to learn more about the laws that were written to protect these birds. But often, these same laws result in us watching tragedy unfold in real time. I'm hopeful that by the end of this video, we can all have a better understanding exactly why the wait and see policy exists and why your local rescue team's hands are often legally tied till the very last second. And hopefully, we'll find some resources and some ways that we can change some of these laws. Some of these laws have been around for as long as I can remember. Some of these laws, in our opinion, need to be changed. Not drastically necessarily, but somewhat. So let's pause and then take a look at what these laws represent and how many of them can be changed. Before we get into the paperwork, let's talk about the human side. In the comments, many of you said things like, if that was my dog, I'd be in that tree in a heartbeat. Or the rescue team is failing these birds. But here's the reality. If a rescue team or a citizen climbed that tree without proper federal sign off, they're not just breaking a rule, they're committing a federal crime. Now, we don't agree with this. However, under the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act, disturbing an eagle is a broad term. It doesn't just mean hurting them, it can mean being too close enough to a nest that it causes the parents to abandon it. For professional rehabber, one authorized move could mean losing their federal license forever. So, when you see a team standing by, they're really not ignoring the bird. They're often sitting on the phone with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service begging for a permit that hasn't been issued yet. So these are some of the laws that we need to try to get changed. So let's get into some of the hard facts. Why does the wait and see policy exist? It comes down to a doctrine used by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, often called the natural process. The government's primary goal is to keep wild animals wild. Under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, bald eagles are federally protected. Again, do we agree with these laws? Not always, but it's a tough position to be in. Let us know in the comments what you think about the laws as they stand now. When a fall happens naturally, like Harmony's did, or Snow's did, The legal thresholds for intervention is incredibly high. They wait till the bird is in the immediate danger. Now, as we all know, we pretty much thought that was the case from the get-go here in Vancouver. However, they didn't seem to think so. But here's the catch. The definition imminent danger for a bald eagle is often interpreted by federal agents than it is by us. We, however, think in this case, if you paid close attention to the video, that the initial fall could have broke some of its young bones already. That's why we kind of lean towards the side of intervention should have been promptly taken instead of waiting until they fell on the ground. We don't write the laws, we can only advocate for change. He was also in a position where rescuers could reach him without disturbing the nest itself, which alone is a major legal trigger for the U.S. FWS. In Harmony's case, because she was still within the nest area after those first two falls, federal guidelines often suggest that intervening could cause the parents to abandon the entire nest, potentially endangering the other eaglet. It's really a heartbreaking calculation. Do you risk the whole nest to save one? The law as it stands today almost always chooses the nest. Now we understand this, but again, we don't always agree with it. It just seems like some more education, some more alertness, and at times quicker action could be taken. But it takes a lot of people and a group effort for things like this. So at the end of the day, it really does make you think twice. Should you always intervene? When's the right time? When's not the right time? It's one of those old sayings, it's kind of a catch-22. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Let us know what you think in the comments. And for those that do want change, like I said earlier, it takes a group effort and a lot of people. I think at the end of the day, everyone really wants what's best for the Eagles. So that's what we have to think about and have to consider. We've read a lot of information, a lot of resources, and a lot of times we can see both sides of the coin. Sometimes we agree, and sometimes we don't. So again, the bottom line, it really does put everybody in a tough decision. Let us know what you think in the comments below. So, in an effort not to ramble on forever, try to get things wrapped up. We know it's easy to feel helpless when you're staring at a screen miles away, watching nature and the law takes its course. But there is a silver lining that the paperwork doesn't show. The reason these stories are getting more attention and the reason we are even having these conversations is because of you and all the people from around the country and around the world. Your eyes on these cameras and your voices in these comments are what keep the pressure on. Every time you share a video or support the local wildlife center, you're helping fund the experts who do eventually get the call to step in. So although the laws may be slow to change, the compassion of this community is immediate. Whether it's a success story of a rescue like Snow or a tough lesson of a journey like Harmony's, we are learning more about these magnificent birds every single day. If you want to help, the best thing you can do is support your local wildlife rehabilitators. They're the real heroes. They're on the front lines, often working through the night and navigating these complex laws, trying to give every eagle the best possible chance at life in the wild. It really is the best way to turn our shared frustration into a shared understanding. I'm Timescape News, keeping it real, keeping it honest, and keeping it truthful. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe, ring that bell so you get all the notifications as they come out. And if you really enjoy this type of content, you can always consider becoming a member. As always, we thank you, we appreciate you. Until the next time, be safe.